Butt Kicker Gamer 2. What you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
It's been all Evans all the time lately in the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. Doug Evans won his first PRL race at Talladega, his son Jeff Evans won last week at Iowa, and now Jeff finds himself in the championship lead. Can Doug and Jeff keep up the Evans family streak, or will Jeff be Las Vegas stripped of his championship lead? Welcome to round 4 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series live from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I'm Joey Tevin. With me in the booth, as always, is Terry Radford. Behind the scenes is intrepid director Josh Lee. And we are prepared to get going here for a great night of action here at Las Vegas to kick off the round of 12, Terry.
Yeah, it's very exciting. You're wearing the home of Elvis back there in the back, greatest hits. Figured I would sport the winning shirt from last week. Little Miracle Flow action. Boy sent me a cool little box with the t-shirt and some mint shampoo. Didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, very minty. It actually made my scalp feel like ice for a second. But Vegas is going to be massive. I did a race out here earlier. Hope you get a run. Hope you get it, on the door going into the corner, because if they race anything like C Open did at 6:45, I promise you this is going to be a event-filled show.
A bit-filled show indeed. But let's see, as we open the broadcast, the playoff graphic is actually updated for Las Vegas. So how about that? Bradley Holly, Abner Acosta, Danny Cervantes, Jeff Evans, Thomas Sink, the top 5 in the championship, all in very, very good shape to fight for those round of 8, or those round of 4 spots, rather. But below that, there's a very, very close battle for the last couple spots in the round of 8. Kalen only 8 points above the cut line. Colton Lane only 1 point above the cut line. Austin Hunter on the cut line. And Zemke and Sumner both only need to make up 3 points. Stacey Hunter and Dalton Geyer, though, are both hoping for a win. Where do you think the best chance for Hunter and Geyer to get that unorthodox win is going to be? Is it going to be at Homestead on a random green-white checker? Is it going to be craziness in Martinsville? What's their best hope?
I would say this week. I would go with Vegas. This is a chance to roll the dice. I mean, we're in Sin City, for heaven's sakes. You have to gamble. Kenny Rogers said it best. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. Well, if you're Stacey Hunter, Dalton Geyer, you better throw some aces on the table and hope that you got one in the hole.
And of course, there are 2 championships to fight for this season. There's the playoff championship and there is the season-long championship. Jeff Evans, as I previously mentioned, is your championship leader, although he is tied with Sean Powell technically, but by virtue of Jeff Evans winning a race, he is ahead of Sean Powell on countback for the moment. Bradley Holly only 4 points behind, and Abner Acosta only 10 points behind. And then Ryan Shield and Jeff Hollingsworth, who has been having a great season under the radar, are only 15 points behind the championship lead. There's absolutely no separation between the top 6, the top 7, the top 8, even down to Brandon Walter. He's only 37 points back. we're only 3 weeks into the season, so that's kind of understandable, but it has been a season of parity so far, and we will see how close everybody can stick together here in the coming weeks. We'll also take a look at the Teams Championship standings, which is almost just as close. Phase 2 Chassis Works with Ryan Shield and Powell and Richard Regan Jr. are actually in the lead of the championship, but Whataback Overdrive are only 5 points back. It has been a very, very even season for both of them. The back row squad for Whataback is actually tied with private label Team Hype for 3rd. OGR Racing ends up in 5th, and then Team DDI All Day is 6th. Team Consult Info 7th. The third of the Whataback squads is 8th. Then Car Ramrod and Riding Shotgun Motorsports Rangers round out the top 10 in the team's standings. So qualifying currently underway here at Las Vegas, or will be underway in a matter of moments. But before we can go any further, we have to thank all of the people who make all of this possible in the PRL. Of course, we must begin with VCO, the virtual competition organization helping us out here at RaceSpotTV and helping make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible this season. Also, this coverage is brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. We're also brought to you by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount also using the Precision5 coupon code. And from Racebox to RaceLab we go. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing with RaceLab apps. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. Also, the Butt Kicker. As always, Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with the Butt Kicker. And last but not least, Ninja Trader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Of course you are. Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, Ninja Trader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. Ninja Trader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Terry, you mentioned doing a couple of C Open races this week, as you always do for preparation, and now we see Open qualifying underway right now. Actually, it's closed qualifying, so that joke doesn't work at all. But Bradley Holly is currently at the top of the timesheets as times start to flow in, but it's early days. Dalton Geyer goes to the top, Loving goes to the top. I think we're seeing a little bit more strategy here, trying to set up these first laps.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the track temp, and it's a little bit down in the first part of it, and while it seems a little bit crazy, you catch a cloud at some point in time in your qualifying run. That makes the difference between the 10th and 2/10. I went out and qualified, and it was 66 degrees on the track, and I thought for sure I was going to lay a flyer, but the track was a little bit more slick. You know, with the more speed you carry into the corners, you're wide open, flat-footing it. It doesn't tend to stick there too often. So Bradley Holly obviously coming out here ready to play. He's had a very good season so far. You know, obviously we're a couple weeks in, but then look, Doug Evans goes out there and unseats him for a second, and Jeff goes back there to 5th. So those Evan boys sure do know how to play.
This has well and truly been the season of the Evans. Doug Evans, currently P1, with an incredible lap time, almost 30 thousandths of a second faster than Danny Cervantes, faster than his closest competitor, and nobody's been able to match that. Let's see what Charles Sumner can do here as he winds it up, crosses the line. Looks like that was an out lap there, so this is going to be his first lap around, riding up there in a very, very high line, almost above that seam there. He's just trying to build up as much speed as possible for this upcoming lap.
Yeah, he'll get a lot of momentum coming down the back straightaway, and you'll see him going 3 and 4 here. He'll do the same thing, put it up against that wall just a tad bit, let it come back down, work its way off. And you got to remember, Jimmy Johnson beat Matt Kenseth here years ago running that line, so don't be surprised if we see it. He'll cut that dog, or the little dog leg right there down at the bottom, and then you just want to pinch it down there on that little bit above the bumps. If you go right down on the entry of 1 and 2 against that white line, those bumps upset the balance of the truck. You'll bounce like a basketball through there. And then you want to take a kind of a shallow arch into 3. You see how he didn't instantly just jump to the bottom. He worked his way through the 2 white lines and then worked down to the bottom, gets a sweep off the exit, and that's a perfect lap around here. We'll see what he charks in at.
Charles Sumner crosses the line. We're going to wait for the time to flow in. He goes P8, but more importantly, you just saw Abner Acosta kill Doug Evans' hopes and dreams. He comes in and beats Doug Evans' pole time by about 0.5 of a second, and Abner Acosta looks to be set for pole. There's still a few more drivers out on track. Adam Shane has another lap in the tank. Richard Regan Jr. has another lap in the tank. But that looks like a very, very good lap for Abner Acosta. He looks potentially set for his 21st pole in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. But let's see if Richard Regan Jr. can spoil the party here. To the line comes Richard Regan Jr. for Phase 2 Chassis Works. Clips the grass just a little bit. It's definitely going to be a good time, but is it good enough for pole? It's not.
Oh.
It's just a little bit too slow, but he is going to take over that second spot in the front row. Acosta and Regan, they both had plenty of speed this season. They're going to be starting alongside each other at Vegas in a matter of moments.
Well, I mean, that was best case scenario right there. And I think, maybe kind of where he lost just a little bit of time was actually going in the center of 1 and 2. I was watching his lap on my other monitor over here, and I kind of noticed that he had a little bit of a wider approach into the corner. And I'm not perfect here. I had very good speed in C Open. But it takes a lot to run here. You have to balance the bumps. You have to balance the track changing. You have to balance the grip level going from in and out. The middle groove doesn't want to balance as much. You don't have the grip to grip the top. And the more tighter you get, the more you work up the track, and then the looser you get. This is going to be the PRL always puts an entertaining race on, but this is going to be one of the most entertaining of the season.
Qualifying has officially come to an end here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and we can take a look at the grid for tonight. Abner Acosta on pole for the umpteenth time in the Precision Racing League alongside Richard Regan Jr., who had a great drive on Sunday in the Cup Series on the Charlotte Roval. Doug Evans in a great qualifying in third is alongside Danny Cervantes, and Patrick Cowgill, another driver with a very, very good qualifying in fifth alongside Thomas Sink. Then Scotty Reinshield, the lead of the Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers, or second of the Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers in the championship, is seventh alongside Jeff Hollingsworth. Charles Sumner is ninth, and Jeff Evans, our championship leader, starts 10th alongside, or right ahead, of the guy who he's tied for the championship lead, Sean Powell. And then Bradley Holly is right behind them. A lot of championship power down there in 11th, 12th, and 10th. Steve Loving is 13th. Eric Lambert is 14th. Colton Lane, Doyle Lawrence, Dylan Schmidt, and Austin Hunter round out top 18, but there is still half of the field to go. P19 in qualifying went to Garrett Austin. P20 went to Dalton Geyer, who needs a great result here in the race to advance into the round of 8. And then behind him is Zach Panzarella, his teammate, and the Whataback driver Jim Westerfield, the Whataback driver Nicholas Hunter, and another Team DDI driver in CM Pennington. Jose the Funky Cold Medina is 25th. Ryan Traver is 26th. Oliver Goff and Robert Goff making an all-Goff row 14. Stacy Hunter and Brian Hoskins round out the top 30. And then Adam Shane was the last driver to actually set a lap time. Brandon Walter was disallowed from qualifying for causing a caution last week, and Adam Zemke and Robert Gilmore have just elected to start at the back of the field. But trucks roll here at Las Vegas. One singular pace lap here. Track conditions look pretty decent. Sometimes when we go to Las Vegas, we kind of expect the baking desert sun, but it seems somewhat temperate today.
Yeah, I would be careful with the 85-degree track temp that's going to provide. With the partly cloudy, might help it a little bit, but I talked about that second groove kind of being a little bit more slick than normal. If you change lanes, very fast, you slide from the bottom to the top, the back end of these trucks want to wiggle too much, and then when another truck gets the air off the back of that the spoiler, it really could spell trouble off the exits 2 and 4.
Abner Acosta in a very, very familiar position on pole in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series for the 21st time, on pole in the Precision Racing League as a whole for the 47th time. If anybody knows how to extract speed out of a car over one lap, it's Abner Acosta, it's Bradley Holly, it's Richard Regan Jr., and they're all going to take the fight to each other tonight. We crawl through turn 4 for the final time under pace speed for now. Abner Acosta is going to take control of the field here. We'll see how long he elects to wait, but however long that is, the number 5, the number 56, they lead to field to green at Las Vegas. Trouble for Scotty Reinshield, a little bit loose off of turn 4. He's able to save it, but he is hemorrhaging positions. His teammate Sean Powell gets by him. There's Reinshield down on the apron, just got a little bit loose off of 4, and he's going all the way to the back of the field here on lap number 2.
Yeah, he kind of caught the apron there coming off the exit of 4, and that's going to be a trouble spot too for the people that are pinched down on the bottom, and that could be used as a tactic against them. If you're Richard Regan Jr. with Abner Acosta here, you come down to about 1 to go. I'm not saying play dirty, but you get down right there on that door, you give him nowhere to go. That apron's very easy to clip there, so it's going to be entertaining, especially if you could get him to straddle that white line right there. Kind of upsets the balance of the truck, makes it go a little too sideways and yaws it out too much.
Patrick Cowgill trying to find a hole in the background, trying to fit through Thomas Sink and Doug Evans, but that door was closing and closing and closing. He elects to stay out of it. He's going to back out, and now he's going to try and find a way in the middle of Doug Evans and Jeff Hollingsworth, but none of these doors are opening. Patrick Cowgill just seems boxed in a little bit behind these two.
Oh, you can make it 3 wide here and make it stick if you do it right. I mean, you have to hold in. You have to be committed. You can't kind of half step. You can't think, I don't want to do it, and then just back out real quick, because that's going to upset the truck too. The balance is the biggest key here. If you keep the balance underneath you for the whole fuel run, you're going to be fine, and that means kind of burping it a little bit, letting it do its thing. If you want to get it, set it, and plant it in the corner, just pretty much do what the top 2 leaders are doing. They're burning their stuff up a little bit, running on that outside lane, trying to build that momentum for the 56. But, the 5's down there just saving a little bit of tire.
Abner Acosta, the tire wizard, we like to call him. Nobody's better over the course of a long run, but this season, that's been disproven just a little bit. Richard Regan Jr. and Sean Powell have both almost matched Abner in terms of a long run speed here. And in the Cup Series, Abner's teammate Trent Dinkle has also managed to match his level as well. So that goes to show you the level of competition in the Precision Racing League right now, that just about everybody who is competitive at the top of this field has kind of been able to match Abner Acosta over the course of a long run, which nobody with Bradley Holly was ever really able to do in the past. We'll see if Regan's able to stick this up for as long as possible here. We're 6 laps into the run right now, and it still looks like a pace lap almost. This looks like an Indy fixed race at Kansas or something, because we're still 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 almost all the way through the field.
I mean, that's normally what this race is going to be. It's a draft track, and I hate this. This is just, it's annoying, because you could be faster, you could be better on the long run, you could be the best out here, but you're not going to be able to get away because of the draft. I would hope that at some point in time in the real NASCAR world, that it trickles over to iRacing, was we allow the teams to have just a little something that breaks this draft pack racing stuff, because we're at 1.5 miles and we're seeing just side-by-side racing, single file racing, nose to tail all the way through here. I mean, you go all the way back to 11th is the first person you find that's a second back, and that could change in a matter of an instance, and which is about to go 9/10 of a second.
So we were almost 3 wide. We are 3 wide for 10th place, or for 8th place is Doug Evans, Sean Powell, Steve Loving, Eric Lambert. They're all trying to argue over the last couple of spots in the top 10. They were able to sort it out, but that was scary for a moment. We're going 3 wide again into turn 3. Steve Loving down to the bottom of the track. Doug Evans is the meat in the sandwich. Loving's going to fade up just a little bit. Lambert's going to leave him room, and they get away with that. You're right, Terry. You can go 3 wide here, but do you really want to on lap number 8 is my question.
No, and the bad part about that one right there is the 41 of Doug Evans. He broke the throttle there. It's exactly what I said you can't do, because that almost took the driver to the outside out. So if you were Eric Lambert right there, you probably have to be thinking, why did he back out? Granted, they were holding it. They could have held serve into the corner and did it right. But the moment you lift, like I said, it shifts that front end of that nose. It shifts it up the track. You wash up into the driver to your outside. And luckily, he lifted just enough, and they had the momentum on the outside to miss it. But look at this battle for the lead. Abner Acosta got the run there on the front.
Richard Regan Jr. still not able to clear Abner Acosta. He got so close on that last lap. He got about 3/4 of the truck ahead of Abner, but the bottom has just been working so well for Abner. Exactly the same dynamic here coming into turn 3. Richard Regan Jr. is just begging Abner to have a slightly worse exit, so I think he can clear him to get to the bottom. But no, Abner is fighting very, very hard down there. He is holding very, very strong. Regan's leading all the laps here, but he's not actually able to take the lead. Abner is still in complete control here.
Well, give or take a little bit. You see where everybody wants to go. They want to migrate their way out to that second groove, a little bit more on the outside lane. But Abner's holding his own down there on the bottom. I would say that if I was the 56, let him sit down there. But maybe make him use his stuff up a little bit more. Make him work for it a little bit more. You're giving him so much room in the corner. You're giving him so much room down the front straightaway and the back straightaway. Make him have a shallow entry. Make him lift a little sooner.
Is any Adam Shane fans watching at home? You're wondering what happened to Adam? Well, we don't know either. He's gone 2 laps down, and there's the change for the lead. As we mentioned that, Richard Regan Jr. has finally been able to clear Abner Acosta on the exit of 2. Acosta was holding tough down there for so long, but it just ran out. Richard Regan Jr. with that momentum is clear of Acosta. Now we've got a single file train from first to, what is that, about 10th with Cowgill and Sean Powell.
Yeah, and for Cowgill, that's actually a pretty good start. Started. I was thinking of Eric Lambert. Cowgill started 5th, was all the way back to 10th, based off the shuffle of the 3 wide move that was around there. But a lot of passing has happened so far in this race, and something that I really didn't think would happen until we got to the pit stop sequence. But you got people up 4, 5, 6 positions across the board. Not a bad spot.
Unfortunately, Doug Evans has been one of the big losers in the first 14 laps. Qualified 3rd. Great qualifying for him. He's fallen all the way back to 15th in the opening stages of this race. But he's a driver who always seems to find speed at the end of the run as well. So we'll see if he can charge his way forward here. This is basically the closest battle on track. You can see the momentum building up with Steve Loving, with Eric Lambert, with Doyle Lawrence and Dylan Schmidt behind. Bradley Holly's getting a peek to the inside from Eric Lambert. Sean Powell trying to go to the outside, trying to do what his teammate Richard Regan Jr. did to Abner Acosta. Powell peeks to the outside, but he's not able to go to the outside. Eric Lambert closes the door. Keep making that single file back to Sean Powell in 9th.
Yeah, and this is mainly what Vegas racing has kind of went into. You'll see the 2 wide going around on fresher tires, but once they start to tighten these trucks up and you start to have a little bit worse for wear, you start to have to lift. You'll start seeing drivers in about lap 20, 25. You'll see them start to slip slide around here. They'll start working their way up another groove, trying to get themselves loose because it'll just get really, really tight on these fixed sets. But, I mean, you see Sean Powell going underneath Eric Lambert here on the bottom. That bottom's going to go away at some point in time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of a when.
Powell peaked to the inside there, down the back straight. Looks like Holly running a little bit higher than Eric Lambert. Lambert sees a nose to the inside, but he's just not close enough to do anything with it. Ahead of Holly is his teammate Jeff Evans. Our championship leader at the moment will still be the championship leader coming out of this week if he stays where he is. I believe my math is correct, which is probably it isn't, because our math is never correct in the booth. Holly to the back of Evans here. Seems like he's getting held up just a little bit, but he's not going to peek to the inside. He's still going to keep it single file. He gets close to putting a bumper to the back of Jeff, giving him a little bit of a push down the back straight, but he's just got to hold firm in 7th for now.
And I would be honest, if I'm some of these playoff drivers that are racing for both championships, but look at the bigger picture. Don't force the issue on lap 18. Just kind of chillax for a second. Let's sit here, let's do our single file stuff, let's get a caution, which we aren't going to get here because Adam Zemke was on the bottom out of the racing groove. Just relax. Let's just all be patient here and get to the end of this race and then fight it amongst yourselves if we get a green-white checker.
Adam Zemke was down there in the apron. I don't know what happened to him. I know he was having trouble with his wheel at the Charlotte Roval, but this does not look like it was a technical issue. Oh, he tries to clear himself. Yeah, tried to clear himself. I think that was Oliver Goff or it was Robert Goff. I didn't see which Goff it was, but Adam Zemke took a big bite of Las Vegas wall there, and like I said, not clear.
I mean, I heard that a couple times in the 645 race, not clear, but I hate to tell you, if the spotter says I'm clear, I don't care. I'm going to be clear. I move. It's a little bit to go. I'm going to clear myself eventually. But what's surprising to me as we go on board right here with Abner Acosta, thanks for reading my mind, Josh, he hasn't let Richard Regan Jr. leave, and their lap times have been right on the money. Daniel Cervantes, too. I don't want to discredit him back there in the 3rd spot, the 25 truck. Has not left the gap. I mean, they're running 31.9. 31.95, 31.94, 31.92. Thomas Sink breaks it. He goes down to 32.0, and obviously he's a little bit further back. But this pack of 3 right here, one of those drivers are going to win this race.
Danny Cervantes just put a nose to the inside of Acosta. Now he goes to the outside. Is he actually going to be able to build up the momentum there to get Abner Acosta off of his game? It's a great run off of 2 for Cervantes. He is able to peek to the inside of Abner Acosta. That's the first real challenge we've seen to these front 2 in this race. On lap number 21, Danny Cervantes peeks to the inside of Abner Acosta, washes up the track a little bit, gets into the door of Acosta. I think that was the first time Danny tried to go down there on the bottom, and I don't think he was ready for it.
Remember when I told you that the bottom was going to go away? Well, that's why the bottom goes away. You have 22 laps on your tires. You're not going to stick that bottom as good as you think you're going to stick it. You have to lift. Like, I learned that the hard way. Running practice, I got about 25 laps on the tires, and I was running the middle groove. And I thought, yep, I'm going to go stick this thing on the bottom. I didn't want to stick. I tried to go in there flat-footed like you can around here in an open race. Not a fan. Didn't work for me. Straight to the wall I went. And I think he learned that the hard way, and don't do that again. Fresher tires, yes. Lap 1 through 10. Yeah, go touch the bottom. It's going to stick. But once you get past that, don't touch that bottom. Sit up there in that second groove. You have about a foot off that white line is where you want to go, because those bumps don't play on old tires.
I'm pretty impressed that after that Adam Zemke accident, he's still on the lead lap. We saw him nose it into the wall at almost full speed. He locked it down a little bit, but that's a heavily damaged truck, and he's still on the lead lap somehow. So 33 drivers. We started with 34, 33 of them still running and on the lead lap right now. We've been completely clean and green here for the first 24 laps, but Abner Acosta just clipped the apron there, going through 1 and 2. Oh. And why did I say anything? No. Why did I say anything? The caution comes out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and it's Scotty Reinshield going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, we're blaming you. Is this your first one? Hashtag blame Joey?
It definitely is, and I've cursed individual drivers before, and I think there's been instances where I've caused cautions in this series. But let's see what actually caused that. Oh, is our old buddy Nicholas Hunter up on the top there? I don't know where he thought he was going, but there was a Scotty Reinshield up there. Oh no! Yeah, there's a different angle. There's a different angle. Sorry, Nick, you've been absolved there.
That was a. But we look at it from this angle. It looks like yeah. I will say, aerophysics. Aerophysics. I'm not a wonderful whatever. Can we get a look at the 60 truck?
Maybe in the pit lane. There's Colton Lane as everybody brings it down. Pit lane. What are we looking at the 60 truck for?
Oh, I thought he had a different paint scheme. Yeah. They sent me a paint scheme this week, since we're under caution. Obviously now, whatever. They sent me a paint scheme. I was hoping that he would have had the Tennessee Volunteer scheme on, but that is my Tennessee Volunteer buddy. He told me last week that we were going to beat LSU. He was right. Now we just got to beat Alabama. Go Big Orange. It's my Colt Lane plug of the day.
See who wins the race off pit road here. Is that Nicholas Hunter winning the race off pit road? Yes, it is. He elects not to take tires, but I imagine with his damage, he will come back down pit road here. Abner Acosta actually comes out behind Richard Regan Jr., so no changes up front. Regan, Acosta, Cervantes, Thomas Sink, Jeff Hollingsworth, Jeff Evans, basically par for the course up at the front of the field. Hunter should come back down here after the incident there with Scotty Reinshield. And Scotty is currently on pit road for heavy damage as well. Other than that, though, it was a fairly straightforward start to this race, and that's the reason I said we didn't have a caution yet. It was just calm running, everybody in single file, just kind of waiting for that pit cycle to kick off under green, and suddenly this race has been turned on its head.
I mean, you kind of jinxed it, and Nicholas Hunter didn't stop in his box there. I guess he either overshot it or just didn't want to see his crew chief after that one. Either way, it is a thing. But they're going to have to pit again. So in all actuality, this kind of just broke it up into thirds. You know, you'll have this 25 lap stint, and then, you know, you'll go again. I would say go to lap maybe 40 or 50-ish, and then do a 30-something stint there. You know, you can get up to lap 50 and do that last 30, that last 35 on a set of tires and be just fine. But yeah, regardless, run it like hell is what I would do.
Got bad news. Terry Colton Lane has brought it down pit lane. I don't know why. I don't know if this is a strategy move. He was in 17th, but he's going to fall all the way to the back of the field in 31st. It looks like he didn't even stop in his box. He just drove back down it. Maybe he intentionally went back to the field. I don't know what's up there, but Colton Lane falls from the middle of the field to literally the exact back of the field.
Maybe he can make a top off. If we go green, you run it long. As an opportunity there, you know what I'm saying? Maybe have a little something there at the end. A lot of these drivers should have, you know, maybe should have thought that one.
Got one more lap here under caution at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. These cautions go very, very slow. It's no Pocono, but anytime we go to one of these intermediate tracks, we got to find a lot of time to fill here during these cautions. But the field is going to pack back up here, and it's basically going to be exactly the same as the initial race start, just flipped around a little bit. Richard Regan Jr. will start from the point ahead of Acosta, then the rest of the top 10 after that pit cycle. Danny Cervantes, Thomas Sink, Hollingsworth, Evans, Holly, Powell, Lambert, and Cowgill. So a lot of familiar names in the top 10, but we didn't expect a caution there. I'm not going to say the C word again for the rest of the night, so we'll see what happens for the next 60 laps.
Good call. Hey, I would say that these pace laps are moving slower than a slow mode hip thrust from Elvis. See, I told you I'd work Elvis in there. Hunka burning love. That's all I got.
I was just doing another Las Vegas reference. That was my impression of Teller from Penn and Teller.
I quit.
You people at home couldn't hear that, but Josh Lee loved that joke. That's all the.
He did love it.
That's all the thanks I need. But anyway, I'm back in my pen role now. Let's get back going at Las Vegas here. We got too much time to go. I've already exhausted my Penn and Teller reference. I should have saved that for later. But anyway,
you had
Abner
all night.
Acosta, Richard Regan Jr. leading the field to green here. The iRacing sedan pace car prepared to pull off onto the Las Vegas pit road for the second time tonight, and, you know, hopefully the last time tonight, but we can't count our chickens before they hatch here. Richard Regan Jr. in control of the field in the pink truck. Green flag is back out at Las Vegas. Let's go racing once more on lap number 29.
That cannot be our last caution. We have so many more references that our producer just said in our ear that we totally can hit before this is over. But you see right here, Danny Cervantes, he's actually going to get past Richard Regan Jr. there because, you know, our Abner Acosta, he kept behind Abner Acosta because he started on the inside row.
The field is all shook up here trying to figure out where do we go. We've got to make positions early. We saw how it strung out later on in the run. We saw how they went single file. Bradley Holly trying to get by Jeff Hollingsworth on the inside, trying to work on his teammate Thomas Sink as well. Sean Powell sends it 3 wide, backs out of it for a moment though, and we are 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. I think there's a few threes in the mix, but right now, early in the run, everybody's trying to solve everything out here. Danny Cervantes clears Abner Acosta though. That's new. We got a driver between Regan and Acosta for the first time tonight.
Yeah, and Bradley Holly has a toxic relationship here with that apron right there. He keeps tapping a little bit all through here. He almost got up into Thomas Sink and Jeff Hollingsworth, who's sitting up there on the outside. But yeah, Danny Cervantes doing a great job. I told you from the start, even before the caution, that the winner was going to come in the top 3 that was sitting there. No disrespect to the rest of the field, but this is a little bit more difficult to pass if you don't pounce early.
Sean Powell still down there on the bottom, kind of in the Abner Acosta position from the previous stint, trying to clear Thomas Sink. But Sink on the outside, Jeff Hollingsworth kind of in the middle lane. It seems like there's almost multiple groups here. We're seeing 3 different lanes used. I don't know if they're all working, and one of them is certainly not working for Dylan Schmidt. I think he must have got loose off 4 like Ryan Shield did earlier. And again, he's going all the way to the back of the field. And Richard Regan Jr. is kind of streaking away a little bit up front.
He is streaking away. He's doing a very good job. He caught me off guard with that one. I mean, he ran the fastest lap time of the race. He was the first person to dip other than Cowgill without draft under the 30s, or under the 31s. He got to a 30.99, and I do say without draft because obviously we have a draft package here that's on these trucks. But I mean, he did it from the lead, so that shows you the kind of power that Richard Regan Jr. has under the hood there. And he also has a little bit of help back here because Abner Acosta and Danny Cervantes were 2x2 for a second. And Cervantes will clear him down the back into 3.
Jeff Evans now joining that train in the bottom, trying to swallow up Holly and Thomas Sink. Acosta and Holly, Powell and Sink, Evans and Hollingsworth. What a pair, what triple pair. It's a trio of pairs of trucks. And Abner Acosta is holding them all back here in those rows. Hollingsworth goes too high in turn 4, fades up very, very high. He's able to hold back, though. He's able to get the position back from Steve Loving. But Jeff Hollingsworth seems to be just trying to run whatever line he can get. He's trying new places, he's trying new grooves, and none of them are really working out for him, but he's doing some experimenting.
Well, yeah, and I almost had a very bad reference. I'm not going to say the reference now. I ruined it myself. Don't worry, my head was smarter than the other one. But there are different grooves here, and we continuously talked about it. There's multiple grooves for a portion of the race. You have like sectors of the tire. You have one section of the race and maybe 5 to 10 laps that you can run that bottom, and you can run it effectively with a truck to your outside. And then you have another sector of the race, just like the middle of the tire. Heats up a little bit faster, but it's the outside lane. You get up there in that middle groove, do its thing, and then if you're really feeling confident and you're feeling cocky like Kid Rock, you jump up into that third lane and see if you can rip it like Kyle Larson.
I need to get a vocoder hooked up to my broadcasting setup here because I want to do an Earth, Wind, and Fire reference. Do Let's Groove Tonight, share the spice of life. But I need technology to do that I don't have. Sean Powell to the inside as usual, just stuck to that white line down there. There's an Elvis reference there. There's some Elvis song Powell stuck in it, but I don't remember what it is. Who else is even associated with Las Vegas? Like Donny Osmond? Is anybody under 50 gonna get those references?
Donnie and Marie. I mean, we could talk about Emerald Lagasse. You know.
Oh, bam!
See, bam, and throw a little spice in there, just like that. Just hey, that's what it was, producer guy. When you said it was the no word, that was a bit of Emerald Lagasse. Bam, and then he's wrecked.
Almost 3 wide again with Patrick Cowgill and Powell and Jeff Hollingsworth. They refuse to solve this problem between each other. They are determined to keep fighting 3 wide. And Ryan Traver is in a little bit of trouble through turn 4. Might have gotten some help from somebody back there, maybe Gilmore, maybe the Goffs, maybe Hoskins, but he's able to keep it rolling, able to keep it straight, and no caution will come out for that little incident. But Acosta's actually been able to get back by Danny Cervantes. He's been separated from his old buddy Richard Regan Jr. for the first time. Now he's back ahead of Cervantes, and now he can set his sights forward here to see if he can bring down that 2/10 gap, which isn't a very big gap, but we've seen these guys so close over the course of tonight that 2/10 is like an eternity between these two.
I got a random idea. How about we have a little less conversation and let's listen to some of these cars? Can we crank it up?
That anymore, Terry. If you were here with us on the broadcast a few weeks ago, you would know that there is a new abbreviation. There is a new thing. We're here in the PRL. It does not stand for the Precision Racing League anymore. It stands for Playing Race Cars Loud. So Terry and I are going to shut up. We're both going to go teller mode, and let's do some PRL. Welcome back to the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, Round 4 here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. If you're just joining us, we were doing a little bit of PRL there, a little bit of playing race cars loud, which is a whole new meaning to PRL. So we hope you enjoyed that. We hope you enjoyed listening to the stars and cars, or the stars and trucks, or something else that rhymes with trucks, of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series there. Terry Radford and I here in the booth here, and just as we come back, we've started to reach just a little bit of lap traffic, but that is not normal lap traffic. That is old Nicholas Hunter, unfortunately riding damaged after a little bit of argy-bargy with Scotty Reinshield here on the front straight a little bit earlier. But other than that, it has been remarkably clean. It's been remarkably single file at times, but
No.
we're starting to get into the long run.
Because the last time you said anything about the green flag or anything about the other flag, the magical, pocket snot rag that Barney holds in his hands, we saw one. Let's not do that again. But what a lead for Abner Acosta and Richard Regan Jr. I thought Danny Cervantes was going to be that guy to mold himself in there, but when he got to second, something upset him being behind the 56. Either he lifted too much, he rolled the bottom too long, and just burned something up, because he's falling like a rock, and he's holding Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink up back here.
Costa and Regan just kind of pulling away here, but you can see that gap, like Terry was mentioning. It is expanding and expanding with every single lap. Let's take a look at the lap time difference here when they both crossed the line. Regan and Acosta, that last lap, both running 32 zeros. Lap before that, they were running 31 nines. Danny Cervantes in the 32 ones, the high 32 ones. So he's losing 2-3 tenths per lap compared to the two in front. If you're Holly and Sink, you think you have more pace in the long run. What do? You tell your teammate to get out of the way and get behind you, or what do you do there? How do you break up the roadblock?
Well, I don't want to ask me that question, because my solutions always put the chrome horn to them. But normally that's not the right answer, Joey. No, you don't tell him to move. To be honest, I mean, that's kind of disrespectful, a little rude. But I would say, maybe go high, maybe go low. Don't say move, or just jump to the outside and hope that you pass them. I mean, their lap times aren't impressive that much either. Now, granted, they're behind him; they're having to lift a ton, but I would kind of hope that these pit stops would come up here soon, and that'll change everything, because those three are going to have to pit first.
So I'm just going to raise this as a possibility, as a rhetorical question, as a theoretical question. Is there a possibility with Colton Lane coming down pit lane to top off with a little bit extra fuel at the end of that last caution? Does he think he can make it to the end? Can the 60 go 60 laps?
No, no, and no. If that it better not be a thing, because if we could go 60 laps right there, that's the longest I've seen anybody run. A fuel tank in the open was 46, so I would say 46. Maybe you could push it to 50. Maybe push it to 50. But going 10 extra laps past that, heck no. Maybe what he tried to do is go put an extra couple laps in. So if I'm not going to say it, if the magical snot rag in Barney's pocket comes out, he's still on this track and everybody else is trapped a lap down, he looks like a genius.
Regan and Acosta still just splitting with the rest of the field here in the pink and yellow cars, the pink and yellow trucks, rather. Trying to think of a Las Vegas food reference. I guess Regan is a little bit like a steamed lobster. Acosta's like some hollandaise sauce. We're high class here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But yeah, they're streaking away from Danny Cervantes. Look at that huge gap between the two of them. It's still expanding by like 2 tenths a lap. It was a little bit less that last time, but still, it's almost north of 2 seconds now as these two try and basically gap the rest of the field.
Yeah, their gap is almost as expensive as a David Blaine ticket. Magic reference. I like it. But pit stops have ensued. Bradley Holly, Patrick Cowgill, Steve Loving, Jim Westerfield come down pit lane here. To see Bradley Holly come in, I said that they were going to be the first ones to come in. I think if you're Danny Cervantes, you're Thomas Sink, you have to come down. Come down now. Beat Richard Regan, beat Abner Acosta. You're not beating them on speed. Sorry. And here they come. Boom, I'm so good at my job. They're on pit road. They jump them, and that's 2 laps now for Bradley Holly. He's going to gain theoretically, if all of things, my math is right over here, 2.2 seconds. So it's 2.2 seconds he's going to gain right there, or maybe 1.5 seconds he could gain. But that's 2.5 seconds he's going to gain if they don't pit now. So these two cannot stay on this racetrack any longer, and they will.
Regan and Acosta still extending it, opening themselves up to the undercut. We saw Richard Regan Jr. win the first race of the season at Texas with this exact strategy. It was only 2 extra laps, or 2 fewer laps rather, of undercut that allowed him to take the lead from Sean Powell, take the lead from Abner Acosta, and end up winning that race at Texas. But Abner Acosta is going to peek to the inside of him here. A little bit of a bobble from Regan off of the exit of 2. Does this mean Acosta's gonna exert his dominance here and bring it down pit road ahead of Regan? No, he's gonna keep going, but Regan's not. Regan's coming in.
I'll tell you, that's the smartest thing I've seen on the racetrack all day, to be perfectly real with you. Because think about that. Abner Acosta goes to the low side and passes you. I thought he was coming down to pit, and Abner Acosta was going to play the smart strategy of maybe pin the 56 to the outside. But I think Abner or Richard Regan Jr. let him go a little bit to say, hey, guess what? I'm going to come pit now. And now he comes a lap earlier. Now we'll see what Abner Acosta does. It looks like he's not pitting. So whatever Abner Acosta's figured out, he's outsmarted me there.
It's just extending and extending and extending, and I think right now, as late as it is in the run, you might as well keep going and hope that the C word comes out here. But let's see the merge between the rest of the field. Richard Regan Jr. has just come back out on track. I believe he is going to come out ahead of Bradley Holly still. So those extra couple of laps, that undercut that Holly attempted, did not work out. Regan is still in control. Holly, then Powell, then Sink, then Cervantes are the top 5 of the drivers who have pitted. And you can see the gap right there between the two. And here comes Acosta. 1 extra lap on track. We'll see if he can beat Richard Regan Jr. out with this overcut, but I can't imagine that's going to work out.
I think he's going to beat him with the overcut. I think he's going to beat him. Abner Acosta is going to beat him, but it has to stay green. You can't see the flag come out and put us under a slower pace. But look at Jose Medina holding it out here, hoping that he gets it. I mean, you look at this top 6 right here. We haven't talked about them all race long. It's their time to shine, and the funky Cole Medina gets on the screen here for a little bit, up 24 positions.
And remember what happened at Iowa last week. That's how Jeff Evans got that lead back when the caution came out perfectly in his favor. That's how Jeff Evans ended up taking the lead and holding off Sean Powell to win at Iowa last week. So Jose Medina, Dylan Schmidt, Ryan Travers still hoping that can come for them. Austin and a pair of Goffs have both brought it down pit road, though they can't go any longer. And there is just a hornet's nest back here of a couple of lap cars. Zemke and Ryan Traver there are both laps down, or 1 lap down, I believe. But so is Geyer, so is Evans. So that actually is all for position. Here is Jose Medina. We'll illustrate to you the difference between old tires and new tires. Medina still on those old tires, 35 laps on that stint. Robert Gilmore just put a fresh set of tires on only 3 laps ago. So you can see the speed difference there. There's Garrett Austin leaving pit road. Austin Hunter's trying to navigate his way through the field. This is the craziness that comes from green flag pit stops. And here's Holly on Regan for the overall lead.
Sometimes when I'm right, I'm right. Bradley Holly's fast. He's been fast. He didn't pass him on the overall lead based off of that, as they're side by side now through this little dog leg here, and they're going to go single file, but he didn't have to pass him. He did not. I thought that Bradley Holly was fast enough on the save mode to figure this out and get up here, and now he has to outsmart him. The winningest driver now has to outsmart the guy that's coming in trying to dethrone him here.
And Abner Acosta, you can see on the side of your screen as well, that overcut, at least right now in the short term, has not worked out in terms of track position. We'll see if he can chase the rest of the field down in front of him, of Regan and Holly and Powell, with these 24 laps to go. But he is currently in 4th, about 3 seconds behind this race lead. So he's got a lot of work to do. Bradley Holly's got a lot of work to do as well. Passing the leader, passing Richard Regan Jr. specifically, has been possible, but it's been very, very difficult. Holly's trying his best here. He's going to peek to the outside. He's going to try and find a high line, but he's not going to find it. Richard Regan Jr. making that Silverado very, very wide. Bradley Holly's just searching for a way by. It's going to be difficult to find it, though.
Well, I kind of think he's going to have to go higher than Willie Nelson to get an opportunity to get around him here, because every lane he goes, Richard Regan Jr. finds a way to block it. He'll move to the outside. You see him here last lap by. Bradley Holly goes to the middle lane in 1 and 2. Well, this time Richard Regan Jr. goes to the middle lane here. Bottom lane is where he went. Bradley Holly there. He's going to go to the bottom lane here. So he's stealing his lines and making Bradley Holly think, where can I go to pass him? Can I maybe make him think that I'm going to go high and then shoot it low? But also there's Sean Powell. He's in this too. So if contact gets made in here in the 1 and 2 position, we could see him, Sean Powell, backing his way into a win.
Jose the Funky Cold Medina has finally brought it down pit road. That leaves Dylan Schmidt all on his lonesome out in the front of the field, just extending this for as long as possible. But here comes Bradley Holly. He's able to get to the inside of Regan. He's finally found a groove. But is that where he wants to be? Regan has loved the outside all night long tonight. He's still going to be able to lead the lap at the line, but Holly's there to his inside. Can he stick with him into turn 1? No, Regan's going to be clear of him with the momentum on the outside. Regan's still in control, but Holly might have found a chink in the armor.
I wouldn't have went to the apron right there. Just me personally. Bradley Holly knows a good bit of what he's doing there. But if he would have stayed on the racing surface and stayed above that white line, I think he would have had a better opportunity of sitting on that door, maybe using the side draft to kind of pull Richard Regan back with him and just do his thing. And now they're both going to go. You see now the defense is starting to work. You see the 56, he works his way down there. He doesn't really care. He's just doing what he has to do to continuously, pick the lanes of where Bradley Holly is going to go. But now, what's he going to do? Because he's all on the back bumper, but they're still pulling the 45 into them.
And Abner Acosta behind that as well. He's catching them by about 0.2 a lap. So this is going to be a 4-way fight for this win before we know it, with 19 laps to go. He's got to find a way to get by here. That's the ultimate challenge. It's easy to get to the back of a driver. It is made much, much more difficult in this NASCAR Truck Series fixed package here to actually make this move. Holly going for almost a little bit of a switchback there as Regan washes up just a little bit in the middle of the corner. He's got momentum again, but he's not close enough to peek to the inside. He's got to experiment here, Jeff Hollingsworth style, I think, because nothing he's doing is working, unfortunately.
You got a lap car right here. He's going to move out of the way. The 109 does not impede Nicholas Hunter. You got to find something. You have to use a pick of some sorts. You also can't discredit right now that Dylan Schmidt holds this race lead. Granted, it's by pit strategy, but if that flag does come out, the 92 goes up 16, he net gains 16 spots. He really wasn't in a factor in this race, and even if the caution comes out, I don't think he will, but he's there. He's put himself in a position, and the 4-way fight for this lead, it's close. It's heating up, because you're right, Abner Acosta's catching him quick, and now I think it's going to be the 56 show all the way to the end. I don't see the 184 getting around him. He's lost what he's done.
Well, these guys run in single file, and while Abner Acosta tries to chase his way forward here, I do want to give a shout out to Adam Zemke down in 16th. Why am I giving a shout out to a driver who's in 16th? Well, Adam Zemke started 33rd, kind of cleared himself on a driver he wasn't clear of, nosed it into the concrete wall, got damage. Then the caution came out, he got his lap back, and he has driven his way back up to 16th place in this race. That is a very, very impressive performance for Adam Zemke right now. A fantastic recovery drive, and he was a driver who was 3 points below the playoff cutoff line. That's exactly the kind of recovery drive you need to have here.
That's the Tropicana. It's like the power of Pine Sol. It never goes away, and Adam Zemke never goes away right there.
Acosta just cleared Powell. Got to interrupt you here, Terry. That's big. Acosta's found a way to pass. He's got the tire life. Is Abner Acosta about to win this race? Can he get by Holly and Regan?
I want to say no, but I think the 56 can block him.
Richard Regan Jr. on 13-lap-old tires. Well, actually, this is a few laps behind, I believe, but Regan is on the second youngest tires. Abner Acosta on 12-lap-old tires. Regan on 14-lap-old tires. Holly on 17-lap-old tires. Here comes Acosta off of turn 4, down on the apron to the inside of Bradley Holly. He's probably going to be able to make it stick here in turn 1 with the fresher tires, with the fresher rubber down on the inside. Holly's holding tough on the outside, though. Is Abner going to be clear on the exit of 2? Not quite, but he's going to be there in a matter of moments. He gives Holly a little bit of a bumper. He says, you're not going to be able to hold this back. I am clearing you, sir. Abner Acosta to second. He's got one more truck to pass here.
This is tough because you just saw the 56 right there get kind of caught off guard by the lap traffic off the exit of 4. That could potentially be the nail that Abner Acosta needs, because now you're right, he has the fresher tire life, but the biggest thing is the 56 can't lose sight of. If he stays with them, those tires even out at some point in time. You know, you're gonna either have to hold him off, put him behind you like you did Bradley Holly, or stay right on his bumper and hope that his tires die out, because he had to work harder to get to you than you did to stay away from him.
At the line, it'll be 12 laps to go. 18 miles is all Abner Acosta has to be able to get by Richard Regan Jr. here. You can see the gap coming down. You can see the speed Acosta has, but he's having the same problem Bradley Holly did now. Richard Regan Jr., it's like he's driving a BMW truck. He's found a way to make that thing extremely wide, but that's not going to be able to hold off the run from Acosta. Acosta peeks to the inside. Regan's not going to fight it, but he's going to try and fight it on the outside. He squeezes Acosta down as low as he can, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Off of turn 4 here. The outside momentum that's been so dominant for Richard Regan Jr., it can't fight with those newer tires from Abner Acosta. These tires are only 2 laps younger, but they seem like they are so much more young than that. Abner Acosta to the inside of Regan and clear. Abner Acosta takes the lead.
Yeah, he just couldn't fight that feeling anymore. He'd forgotten what the lead was even for, you know, and he finally gets it. Obviously, still, we have to go back. The 92 is this race leader. Obviously, we're still waiting on him to pit. Now here he comes down here. He led a good bit of laps right there. So bravo to Dylan Smith there in the 92 for getting it. But yeah, now it's going to be a walk-away show unless my cursed person over here. You can say the magic word anytime.
Well, I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say that I hope that, you know, somebody has a faster truck. Somebody's going to be able to wheel out an REO Speedwagon and then drive their way back up there to take the lead back from Acosta. Maybe there's some secret tire life that somebody's been saving.
Well, you know, or maybe Elvis really isn't dead.
That's entirely possible. That's a whole new PRL broadcast. That'll be next week. We'll get into all the conspiracy theories. Elvis, you know,
he won't be here.
JFK, Jimmy Hoffa, we'll wheel them all out.
Yeah, are you even going to be here? Or are you telling me to do it next week?
I'm telling you, you got control of the broadcast. We'll get into that in the post-race, people. We'll tell you the calamity that's about to ensue next week, but we'll get to that later. There's no calamity up front because Abner Acosta is just streaking this away. It's now 0.7 of a second. It's been like 2 laps since Acosta took the lead, and you can see the huge gap he's made already. This isn't just tire wizard stuff. This is strategy stuff that has worked out beautifully for Abner Acosta, but the fights aren't over in the rest of the field. Cervantes, Cowgill, and Jeff Hollingsworth all trying to fight over the last couple spots here in the top 10. Cowgill clears Danny Cervantes there, and the 3 wide is solved as soon as we cut to it. That's usually what happens in these things.
Racer guy asked a question since we're running down here. What iRating do you need to join this league? There's no cap, and that could be used in different meetings. So no cap, there's no cap. That means I'm not lying. There's no cap. You can join at the Precision Racing League on Twitter. There are Discord links in there, and find out how to race in any of the variety of 7 days a week broadcast. You like that? Yeah,
that was pretty good. We'll hear more of that next week. Bradley Holly, he's still here this week though. He's the next driver who's going to try and challenge Richard Regan Jr. on 3-lap older tires. So Richard Regan Jr. was clearly doing something at the head of this field to really push these things, because he's on 3-lap younger tires, just as Abner Acosta was compared to him. But Bradley Holly is catching him once more. He's chasing him back down. There's a few lap cars in the mix. I think that was Eric Lambert, who has just gone a lap down to Abner Acosta, who might cause a little bit of a fracas up there in the number 19 ahead of the 56. But can Bradley Holly get by Richard Regan Jr. here in the next 6 laps? I feel like I know the answer to that question, but I gotta ask something. I gotta get some hype up here.
I mean, if you want me to sell it, I'll sell it. I think that Bradley Holly saved his tires just enough, and Richard Regan Jr. pushed it. So yeah, if we're gonna sell this, we're gonna build this up. Look at the focus. He's got the eye of the tiger, rising up. He's back on the streets. He's did his time. He's taking his chances. And with the will of the PRL, he's going to get by him here.
Richard Regan washing up a little bit, didn't leave Eric Lambert much room. Eric Lambert didn't leave himself much room against the wall either. Holly now going to have a little bit of an easier time clearing Eric Lambert, but he's also going to clear him at a worse opportunity. And Richard Regan Jr. survives that little scary moment. At the line, there'll be 3 laps to go, 4.5 miles. Abner Acosta is hoping that that flag does not come out, because we will definitely have time for a green-white checker. If it does come out, this has been a very, very rapid race. If the race doesn't enter green, that means more time to talk to the drivers. I'm sure a lot of them will be showing up tonight, but if it does, that means a crazy finish. And Abner Acosta is really hoping that doesn't happen. He wants the biggest lead he can get. He wants the most straightforward win. Bad for us. Good for him, though.
Oh, I mean, we could say the word. You spoke it into existence for the only time tonight. We could, if the caution does come out, I'm not a jinx. Joey's the jinx. I'll be the jinx next week. But there is a side-by-side battle right here. So who knows? Anything could happen in the PRL.
Couple of G's here side by side. Goff and Garrett trying to solve the battle for 24th. Garrett Austin certainly not leaving much room there. Doug Evans and Colton Lane as well. Colton Lane on that kind of alternate strategy. We didn't really know what was up there. I'm sure we'll talk to him after the race tonight to see why he elected to bring it down pit road under that last caution, but he's been driving his way back through the field, and he should be able to clear Doug Evans here for 13th. But Abner Acosta is going to round the final corner here to take the white flag. That means that we are going to end under green here. We're going to make it, and Abner Acosta has a 1.5 second cushion over Richard Regan Jr. He can take a West Coast Las Vegas joyride here for the last mile and a half. It hasn't been the best season for Abner Acosta, the driver who won the NASCAR Truck Series and the NASCAR Cup Series last season. He won both of them. He's in 4th in the championship in this series. He's somewhere like 15th in the Cup Series, but it's finally turning around for Abner Acosta. Great pit strategy, great tire work. The tire wizard Abner Acosta is going to win at Las Vegas.
And Richard Regan Jr. holds off Bradley Holly back there for P2. We tried to sell it. It was only 0.2 of a second, so it's a bit of a sell. That could have happened.
Well, just like Weezer on Broadway tickets, sometimes you can't sell things and they fall out. It doesn't work out at the end. Adam Zemke brings it to the line in 16th. A good recovery drive from him, all things considered. A lot of storylines here in the field, and a very, very quick race. Almost a photo finish between Goff and Garrett there for P24. But it's not even 10 o'clock yet here on the East Coast. We haven't even been on the air for an hour, and we just finished 85 laps at Las Vegas. Talk about that for pace. That's got to be a record pace.
Yeah, it means that I'm going to be early to the 10:45C Open.
Well,
that never happens.
That depends on how many drivers we talk to. If the whole field shows up, we might be here for 45 more minutes, but we'll see.
I mean,
I hope we get to talk to as many drivers as possible. But as Abner Acosta does his celebratory donuts here for the first time this season, let's take a look at the rest of the results. Richard Regan Jr. came home in 2nd. That'll be good for his championship hopes. And Bradley Holly, that'll be good for him as well in 3rd. Sean Powell will take the championship lead, if my math is correct, with that 4th place finish. And Thomas Sink was 5th. Patrick Cowgill, his best race of the season in any series, in 6th. And then Cervantes, Hollingsworth, Evans, and Steve Loving rounded out the top 10. Scotty Reinshield got the fastest lap on lap 3 as well, if that matters to you. P11 went to Jim Westerfield, another driver who made up a ton of positions in the race tonight. His teammate Austin Hunter was 12th, and Colton Lane had a recovery to 13th. Brandon Walter was disallowed from qualifying, drove his way up to 14th, and Doug Evans had a tough day in 15th. Zemke, Lawrence, Geyer, Sumner, and Medina rounded out the top 20, and there were a few more drivers who finished on the lead lap. Panzarella, Hunter, Pennington, Goff, and Austin. And there were still 25 drivers left in the lead lap at the end of this race. Eric Lambert, Dylan Schmidt, Robert Goff, and Ryan Traver all went a lap down, trying to extend that pit strategy for as long as possible. And then we get into the used car lot at the back of the field. Brian Hoskins, Adam Shane, Robert Gilmore, Nicholas Hunter, and Scotty Reinshield all ran into assorted amounts of trouble, and unfortunately did not make it to the flag at the end of the race. But the driver who made it to the flag first at the end of the race is already here with us, winning the race to the booth, winning the race on track. Abner Acosta, you finally got your first win of the season in these NASCAR things.
I know. It's a little weird, but yeah, it's been a tough season in both series. I'm glad to finally win something, because it's been rough.
So what were you thinking when that green flag pit stop strategy came around? We saw Richard won a race at a 1.5 mile track earlier this season on an undercut, but you went for the overcut, and then that ended up working out for you. Did you know you were going to be able to make those 3 moves to be able to get the lead?
No, I'm pretty bad at strategy, so I just kind of decided to go with that. And as soon as I did it, I'm like, well, this wasn't a good move. And then I just kept my pace. And I guess, honestly, what I think that saved me was probably Bradley and Richard fighting. Or maybe I gained a little more time than I should, but I was definitely gaining a lot on them. So maybe it was a good strategy call, I'm assuming, but I'm usually bad at those. So I just stuck with that, and finally something worked. So I'm happy about it.
And you've locked yourself into the round of 8. I mean, you kind of did already with the amount of points you've accumulated, but still, it's good to be official as we go to the round of 8. Phoenix, iRacing Super Speedway, Dover in a couple of weeks. Which one of those are you looking most forward to? And once we get to the round of 4, are we thinking Truck Series Championship to end the season?
Yeah, I mean, I like all of those trucks. As long as we don't have to do this one again, ever, that would be great. Because that was, he was just, like, full throttle the whole time, and it's just kind of like, ugh. But yeah, I think Dover, I really like Dover. And any sort of short track, using the brake, I really enjoy that type of racing. So looking forward to those. And yeah, hopefully at the end here, I'll be able to pick up the championship. We'll see.
And well, congrats again on the win tonight, and we'll see you for the rest of the season. We'll see if you can make it 2 Truck Series championships in a row.
All right. See you guys. Have a good night.
Abner Acosta, number 5 on the truck, P1 on the track. Second place, Richard Regan Jr. is with Terry, which is a good thing because I asked Richard Regan Jr. the worst question of all time on Sunday. So, Terry, you're going to have to give him a good interview here.
That's a lot of pressure because I'm no good at this. But Richard Regan Jr., what's up, man? P2.
Yeah, P2.
I mean, don't sound so disappointed. You get to talk to me.
I always like talking to you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I'm not here for P2. I'm here for P1.
Well, you're number 1 in my heart, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, means a little bit.
It's moral victories is all we can take here in the PRL. The strategy call there, obviously, when he passed you on the track, he goes to the bottom. You kind of let him go. You come down pit lane. Were you trying to stay out there with him? Like, were you thinking you two could pit together and make that a 2-horse race?
No, so I was trying to get the fuel calculation done those last couple laps under green, and it was distracting me a lot, so lost a couple tenths. And I was planning on pitting the lap before, but someone was on the radio, another driver, and I didn't want to get rear-ended like Iowa last week. So I stayed out another lap and just let him go, and then I didn't call it out so that way I could try to jump him. But missed it on fuel just a little bit, took just a little bit too much, and it cost me about 2 seconds.
That was going to be my next question, is how much fuel did you take, or how much fuel did you need to take to maybe flip that? Because I was calculating watching the laps and the actual lap time that you would put down on the fresh tires, and I thought maybe you would gain 2 seconds, but it ended up being like 1.25 seconds. So you lost a big chunk there. What did you want to take there?
I wanted to take a little over 6 gallons. Messed up and ended up taking 8, so didn't really work out too much. But yeah, it was pretty crazy on the right sides too. It was pretty loose.
Well, what do you got for next week at Homestead? You gonna redemption tour for the 56?
Oh yeah, for sure. Homestead's one of my best tracks, as well as Martinsville and Dover. So definitely looking to lock down the next 3 races. I think there might be one in between that. I think Phoenix. But yeah, definitely here for wins, and yeah, we'll see what we got.
Well, if you win next week, you'll probably be talking to me again. Richard Regan Jr., it was good to talk to you. Thank those sponsors for me.
Yeah, for sure. I got to thank Liquid Molly, Garrett Coffee, JC Photography, Sean, Scotty, Tyler, Christian, Mike, all the guys at Phase 2, Chassis Works, Reese Bogue on the spotter stand and pit box tonight. Everyone at the PRL and you guys at RaceSpot.
We appreciate you. Joey T, that's Richard Regan Jr. in the 56, P2 on the track, P1 in our hearts, and you got the 3rd place driver.
I said Abner Acosta was P1 in our hearts, though, so it's a battle on track and it's a battle in our hearts as well. But we'll talk to another driver who's in position for that as well. Bradley Holly, P3, seemed like you hit a wall of air behind Richard Regan Jr. there for those last 20 laps, though.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me too. Just another track where once you get wear on the tires, it's almost impossible to pass.
Is that what you expected coming into tonight? Because I came into Las Vegas. I didn't do much practice. I know Terry ran a couple C Open races, a couple C Fixed races. I didn't really expect the single fileness, but did you expect that coming into tonight?
Yeah, definitely. Because last couple times we've come here in the PRL, it's been almost a single file after about 10-15 laps. So, with that knowledge and just experience over the years in PRL, I kind of had a feeling it was going to turn into that at some point. Strategy was going to have to come into play, and I have to figure stuff out.
This is like the closest championship I think I've seen in many, many seasons at this stage of the championship right now. But when we came in tonight, there were 10 points separating the top four. I think it's going to be even closer now with you finishing third, with Abner winning, with Regan getting some good points. How insane is it to be fighting like a 10-way championship right now just for the Season 4 championship and also fighting for a playoff at the same time?
It's honestly fantastic. I like to see that just for the league. And honestly, it makes it a little bit more fun to see who you need to fight and who you need to try to gain points on and try to get wins and win the championships.
I got one more question here. I just remembered I had to ask. Where have you been on Monday nights the past couple weeks? We've been looking for you in the field, and we've been missing you in the MX-5s.
I keep getting busy. Work's starting to catch up to me, and just keep running out of time. If I don't feel like I'm confident enough or practice enough to do well, I'm probably not gonna to race. And plus, to be honest, MX-5s have kind of gotten stale for me, so there's not much excitement. So I need to either focus on trucks or find a GT3 or something to race.
I think you should do that because there is no driver in the Precision Racing League who has won in 5 different disciplines. You've won in 4. I think Abner's won in 4. So you should pick up the F3 car or the GT3 or something and break some more records.
We'll have to see. Just depends on how work's going.
All right, we'll see what happens. We hope things free up for you, but until then, hopefully we see you on Monday night. But if we don't, we always look forward to seeing you on Wednesdays, and we wish you good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Bradley
Holly, P3 tonight. I think I slightly cut him off there on his last question, but we'll ignore that. We'll give some extra time to his teammate Thomas Sink now, who's with Terry.
The Sink man, what are you doing?
What's going on, guys?
Well, we watched a really good race at Las Vegas. How'd the 48 truck feel tonight?
First run tight. Didn't really want to turn, but I think it had a lot to do with me just hanging out behind other trucks. Just the aero got to me and I burnt up the right front a little bit too much. And then the second run was really good. I know a lot of guys were complaining about tight, but I was like free off and I couldn't hold the throttle down.
It was actually curious when you said you were tight on the first one, because I experienced the same thing a little earlier today when I stood behind a truck and I stayed there for a long period of time. I started washing up and I couldn't plant the throttle because I was too tight off exit. What changed between the first run and the second run? Like, it went from tight to loose. What was the difference? Were you were in clean air, obviously a little bit more, but did you drive the truck any less or any harder on the second run?
I was a little bit easier on the second run just because it seems like on the start and then the restart, you had to drive real hard to keep your track position. Once the tires kind of got a little heat in them and then the truck started snugging up, you just couldn't pass anymore. It's not traditionally like that. Usually you can get around the outside, you can get by them, but tonight it just didn't seem like that. And then the second run, it was, pretty much open field. And I could run a little less hard, save a little tire, and maybe that was it. I know the track temp was going up.
That's interesting to hear. What's your idea for next week at Homestead, Miami?
Survival. I think the last time I went there, it was a playoff race. It might have been the finishing one. I can't remember. And I went in and could run a hot lap of maybe 10th, and I struggled to stay, I think, 2 laps down. I had no speed. I couldn't get the truck to rotate. I couldn't get to come off the corner. I was just basically bad everywhere but the straightaways.
Sounds like Homestead. I think they're spots. Yeah, let's
Don't know what to say.
well, the impressive window tinting looked good out there.
That's my buddy. He does all that. He did my Camaro. He did my pickup. He does an awesome job. He gets the door panels off and puts the tint down a little bit further. He does an awesome job. They're such an awesome company. I love them.
Where can we find them?
In Urbana, Illinois.
Well, anybody out there in Illinois needs some impressive window tinting, hit them up. Thomas Sink, it's good talking to you, P5 tonight. Hopefully we'll see you a little higher up at board next week at Homestead.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thomas Sink, P5 tonight, and maybe we'll see how he can do at Martinsville and at Homestead in the coming weeks, and we'll see if we can let that sink into the round of 8. And we got one more driver to talk to. As always, the grand finale, Austin Untel of France, of French Canada, of course, or maybe of established traffic control land. 12th place tonight. I thought it was 13th, but apparently you beat Colton to the line behind your teammate Jim. Talk to us about tonight.
It was a little rough. It was just stuff to figure out how much tire to save, and there was a lot of guys that pushed really hard at the beginning of the run, trying to figure out when that 15 to 17 laps, when it starts to split back in my direction, the saving tires. And it was good. It was a good night.
So next week, for the first time since I started calling these Precision Racing League races, I'm not going to be in the booth. I'm going to be away. Terry's going to be here holding down the fort. Somebody else will be here. Your finishing result kind of rides on this, because if you do bad next week, that means that I'm good luck.
I hope you are. I was a little confused by these previous interviews because I thought I was number one in y'all's heart, but figured out I've been bumped down a couple spots, but it is what it is.
It sounds good when we tell other people that we love them too,
We got to share the love to the other guys. I get it.
We could really break your heart and say that Nick is actually our favorite, that you bring it in the family, like say that our favorite hunter is Nick, but we'll save that for another week.
Only one of us has finished a race in a while. So.
Oh, that is very, very true. I wish he was here. I wish you guys could interview each other. We gotta work that out next week. But yes, we've talked to everybody about actual racing. We might as well have an actual racing question for you. I think on points you're probably pretty likely to get into the round of 8. You think you can be that spoiler who joins the Holly and Acosta and Regan, who are kind of locked into the round of 4?
I hope so. I do, need to string a couple more good races together to advance to the next round. Martinsville is a really good track for me. For some reason, it just fits my style. So I'm hoping that I can, sneak one out there. I've had several top 5s there, so I'm hoping I can get one.
Won't be Regan, by the way. I forgot Richard Regan Jr. is not in playoff contention, but that's beside the point. That's not my job. Statistics. Who am I? Joey Tebbin. Anyway, thank those established traffic control sponsors again. Tell them where they really are, and do what Terry had to pry out of your teammate a couple minutes ago.
Yeah. Thanks to our friends at Established Traffic Control. You can reach out to Brendan Chatley up in Pennsylvania. He made this wonderful sign that Terry loves so much.
I do love it.
Also, my friends over at the Houston Curling Club and the guys at Waterback. We always just work so well together each race to make sure that as many of us are in the top 10 as possible. Thank my wife and kids, and I want to make sure I squeeze in a quick apology to Charles for dooring him there on our pass and making him lose a bunch of spots. Definitely not how I want to race someone that I've been friends with for so long. So I want to make sure I get that in there too.
Always the sportsman, Austin Hunter. We'll see you back next week, and hopefully we got both Hunters finishing the race.
I hope so. Thank you, guys.
The number 312. Always good to talk to him, Terry, but that's all we got. We got 5 drivers, and we still got 15 minutes left to go in this broadcast window. I'm not going to fill all of that, but I'll tell the viewers what's about to happen for the next 2 weeks. I am going to be out, unfortunately. I hate to give up the Wednesday Night Truck Series. This is one of my favorite broadcast nights of the week, but next week, I'm going to be too busy seeing Dan Howell here at the Carnegie Hall of Pittsburgh. And the week after that, I'm going to be seeing Weird Al Yankovic here at the Carnegie Music Hall in Pittsburgh. So, those 2 things are unfortunately more important than the Precision Racing League. But I think everybody else would also come at the chance to see Weird Al and Dan Howell here. So Terry Radford, you're going to be here next week. You're going to be holding down the fort. And That's kind of like the substitute teacher taking over. Are you going to be able to keep control of the class?
I would be real honest with you. If it comes to fruition and I do the lead for PRL, it would be the first time that I have ever led a show on RaceSpot. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. Obviously, this, sponsor reads and all of that comes into it, and I have to play, teacher dude, and I can't, I can still have fun. We still have fun out here. But that ought to be fun. I can't wait. Homestead's such a great track. You think about the multi-grooves that has. It's a multifaceted track where you have the bottom on the early runs. You can really dive it in. You can make passes on the low side if you slide it right. It kind of reminds me of a big Kansas, except you're not really, wall riding the entire time. You're actually able to make different moves. The greatest rapper of all time wrote a song about it, Will Smith, called Miami. So it's a big win. But yeah, I guess I'll get to plug this because Joey's not going to be here next Wednesday night. Round 12, race 2, Homestead, Miami, October 19th at 9 Eastern Standard Time, right here on RaceSpot.
Yes, had to let the people know. You'll still hear one familiar voice for the next 2 weeks. I will be back. I promise I'm not leaving you. I will come back from the gas station to buy those cigarettes. But anyway, I'll see you in 3 weeks. Terry will see you next week, but I will also see you tomorrow night. We'll see you 5 nights a week for Precision Racing League action. Tomorrow night is the IRO4 and the F3 series here in the Precision Racing League to close out the PRL week. But if we see you next week, if we see you tomorrow, if we see you 5 nights a week for the PRL, whenever we see you next, from me, Joey Tebbin, from Terry Radford, from Josh Lee, we thank you for tuning in tonight. Until next time, so long.